We finally got to see it. We got to see the rematch of Super Bowl 55 with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers dominated that game, and the highly talented Bucs defense proved to be too much as they held Mahomes' electrifying offense to only 9 points, while the Tom Brady-led offense was able to put up a commanding 31 points, and the game was seemingly under control for all 4 quarters. And in this rematch, we saw an even better Bucs defense. The best defense in the entire NFL took the field, and in this rematch, only one thing remained the same. The Bucs matched their 31 points, but this time, the Chiefs made the best defense in the league look incredibly pedestrian as they hung 41 points and looked nearly flawless for all 60 minutes of the game, never making it feel like the Bucs were ever in it, because frankly, from the opening kickoff, they never were. So we need to ask the question, how did they do it? And the answer to this should stand the test of time and be the formula to how the Chiefs offense has the ability to look when they're at their best for the rest of the season and even into the playoffs. So as the weeks go on, this video is the E=MC squared. And even though inevitably they won't play this well every single week, this is the standard because it honestly doesn't get much better than this. And the answer to how they did this isn't one word or one specific thing we can point to. There are multiple layers to this answer, and each one of them being equally important as the previous one. And in today's video, we're going to show you exactly how the Chiefs offense are able to dismantle the best defenses in all of football. We'll show you how they consistently come away from drives scoring touchdowns instead of field goals, how Andy Reid proves he knows the exact right play to call at the perfect times, how their rebranded offensive line and receiving corps are utilized in a fully optimized and brilliant fashion, and finally, how number 15 makes all of the previous things work, look even better, and has the ability to fill in the gaps and make things work when a previously mentioned thing goes wrong. There's obviously a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. And we'll start to see how all of these topics are individual, but are very much so connected in a lot of ways. But starting with the most basic thing, you need to score points to win games. And the Chiefs' 41 points were made up of 5 touchdowns and 2 field goals. If they weren't able to find the end zone and scored field goals on all of their red zone trips, 7 field goals would obviously equal 21 points. So we see how important these plays are and how important execution near the goal line is. Because this is a completely different game if they don't convert. And nobody is more creative near the goal line than the Kansas City Chiefs. Which leads to plays like this, because the Chiefs run their offense completely different inside the 5 than they do the other 95 yards of the field. And now we have arguably the best player in all of football as a flanker at the top of your screen, and a 3-person backfield of Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Travis Kelce. Every player on the Bucs defense should have their antennas up, red signal flags everywhere should be going off that something weird might happen, and they have no idea what to expect. And that's exactly what you want. Don't let the best defense in football feel comfortable, especially on the plays that matter the most. And this ends up being a triple option. McKinnon hands it off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and to the Bucs' credit, they do a really good job defending it, but the Chiefs are able to execute and score anyways. And this play only works because they get a great double team right here with Creed Humphrey and Joe Thuney on Vita Vea right in the middle, and they get enough push to make this play possible. And if you're ever worried that they're tipping their hand too soon, I promise you they have plays like these from week 1 all the way to make the Super Bowl if they make it. They're going to keep creating some of the things that defenses have never seen in NFL history. And everything in this offense runs through Patrick Mahomes, and that's exactly what they leverage to get the defense to not look just for a second so they can run a play like this. Because traditionalist fans of football would love to see this on the screen, all 22 players on the field inside of a 10-yard by 10-yard box. But just when you think the Chiefs are going to run traditional power football, here comes number 83, the second-year backup tight end out of Duke, Noah Gray, to get the sneak while the entire defense is looking at Patrick Mahomes. Let's look at every single linebacker and safety isn't even looking in this direction, and then they come away with 7 points when it very well could have been 3. And Andy Reid is so good in the end zone when the game of football is 11 on 11, but he does things to make it one-on-one where it's favorable in his advantage. So they're going to motion the running back to get a 4-by-1 look, and what he wants is the linebackers and safeties to bump over just enough, just so now we can get a favorable matchup with now a third-string tight end out of Valdosta State University to match up on a smaller Carlton Davis, just use his body on an inside slant to get leverage, and now we have another touchdown. And the last red zone play we're going to look at, I'm sure you've seen a million times on all social media platforms. I'm sure you've already seen someone break it down, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. But just know this is going to tie later into our video because sometimes you do have a really good play called and it just doesn't work. But you have this guy, number 15, Patrick Mahomes, who is absolutely Houdini, who is going to make plays like this once or twice a game where you just have to shake your head and ask how. He does things that you can't script. Andy Reid can't get a better play design. The Bucs defense do everything in their power to make this play happen and extend to 7 seconds. But Mahomes is just able to wiggle, squirm, and spin his way out of trouble and make stuff happen that we really haven't seen any other quarterbacks be able to do on a football field. But now we need to focus in on what the Chiefs do the other 95 yards on the field. Because Andy Reid called one of the most beautiful games I've seen in a long time. Not only was there a perfect balance of 37 passing attempts to 37 rushing attempts, 189 yards rushing on 5.1 yards a carry, and 228 yards passing on 6.7 yards per completion. Andy Reid knows that he has almost the entire length of the field to work with, but what he does better than almost anything else is he knows that a football field is 53 1/3 yards wide, and he is going to make the defense cover every blade of grass. And almost no team puts more pressure on a defense from stretching a team vertically and horizontally. And they do this all the time in the passing game with this quick screen game, getting it out to the sideline into the perimeter as much as they can. Great run blocking from backup receivers and tight ends. And they even do this in the run game too. They're going to run it right behind their best center in all of football and Creed Humphrey, but they're also going to stretch it to the edge. So if you're sitting here as a defense, you have to be wildly uncomfortable knowing that any given play has the equal chance to be a run or pass. Any chance has a play to be a 5-yard dump off or a 50-yard bomb, and they're just as likely to run it between the guards as they are to stretch it to the perimeter. And Andy Reid even takes this a step further and uses this image of stretching the field vertically and using his guys in the best possible situations, taking a guy with ultimate speed that runs a 4.3 in McCole Hartman all the way across the field to fake this jet motion, to get the defense to bump down and hesitate just enough to have these amazing gaping holes right through the teeth of the defense that you just don't see other teams being able to exploit with this Bucs defense, as they have one of the best pass and run defenses in the league. And seemingly at the perfect time, Andy Reid knows once he's given enough of this bubble motion, they've had success with the screen game, stretching the defense horizontally. It's the perfect time to fake it, to get Carlton Davis to just bite just enough to get a huge chunk play. Again, always just calling it at just the right times. And they're able to stretch the field vertically and horizontally, even though pre-snap it might look very condensed. They're going to get great spacing on this play, where we have outbreaking routes on the bottom of your screen, and we have two streaks going up at the top of your screen, and they catch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, ironically enough, in Tampa 2. So Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid knows that the safety has to respect this deep ball over the top, and this is the matchup they've been looking for. Taking an 11-on-11 game and making it a one-on-one matchup. And this matchup is highly favorable for the Chiefs, as we have a speedy receiver in Marquez Valdes-Scantling on a linebacker. Even though a very fast linebacker, this is just a matchup that he's going to win every single time. And this play only works because he went out and got Marquez Valdes-Scantling in the offseason, put him in the situation where if they do switch into a Tampa 2, they'd switch out of their one high look. They're going to get this matchup that they're looking for, taking the pieces that he has on his offense and fully optimizing them. And then you get chunk plays like this where it was all dink and dunk up until this point. But we need to touch back on the last red zone play that we saw the Chiefs score on. Sometimes Mahomes is just there to bail you out when the Tampa Bay defense does everything right. Because this wasn't a fraudulent number one defense in the NFL. They are legitimately very good. And as this play starts to roll, Mahomes is going to take the ball out of empty, and we're going to pause it right here. Because the Buccaneers did a great job locking down every single possible option Mahomes could throw the ball to, and they drop 8 in coverage, only rushing 3, but since you only have 5 linemen, you can only have 2 doubles, but the Buccaneers are able to win their one-on-one matchup. So even when you're able to do everything perfectly on the back end, only rush 3 and be able to get there, Mahomes is there to bail you out. He's able to scramble, and typically he's not looking to run, and it just leads to plays like this. When Tampa does everything right, Mahomes makes them wrong. And the next important play in football outside of scoring touchdowns in the red zone is third down conversions, because you don't get to the red zone if you're punting the ball away. And so these next 3 plays are all third down conversions. They all would have either been punts or field goals. And the Tampa Bay defense on all 3 plays plays nearly perfect defense. They time up a perfect corner blitz right here. And what are you supposed to do? You have them dead to rights. Mahomes makes things happen. And you stop them again, it's another 3rd and short. You lock up everything on the back end. You get really good pressure. And Mahomes is just there to use his legs, beat you, and get another first down. And 15 typically isn't looking to run the ball when he normally scrambles. He keeps his eyes down the field. He's looking to push the ball down the field. But how many times have you seen this? We have a 3rd and 8. The defense locks up everything perfectly. The pocket collapses. And Mahomes is able to go out there and get 8 yards and 1/4 of an inch to pick up the first down. This is demoralizing for a defense. So even though Andy Reid very well might be the best play caller in all of football, the number 1 defense is still going to show up. They're going to do their thing. But it seems just like no matter how well you do things, number 15, if he's having an on game, he's going to be able to beat you in a way you might not even be able to explain. Because he's going to do some improbable things with his arms or with his legs, and sometimes even both. And our next thing is, so we've seen Andy Reid be able to get the best out of his new pieces like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, using the image of Juju Smith-Schuster and McCole Hartman, but it's all about this guy right here, the best tight end in all of football. How do we get him the ball as much as possible, and how do we get him in one-on-one situations? And you're going to see this so much, he's just going to walk in, and then MVS is going to streak out, but this is just to clear out. Juju's going to run the flat. This is just to clear out because they want this one-on-one matchup in the middle of the field with a linebacker. Although a very good linebacker, this is going to be advantage Travis Kelce every single time. And so yes, the Chiefs do have a much more balanced offense, but if you just get Travis Kelce, your best player, in situations where you can have one-on-one, the defense almost has no chance here. And if you see how bad the linebacker bites in the middle of the field, this isn't weird because Travis Kelce is known for working the middle of the field. But again, Andy Reid teaches all of his players to use their image to their advantage, because oftentimes Travis Kelce is in the middle of the field on all these option routes. So now let's look to a play like this that shows, again, Travis Kelce being put in a one-on-one situation. But let's highlight Mahomes' knowledge of the game and how it's improved. Tampa's showing a lot of pressure here. So what he's going to do is he's going to have Jerick McKinnon step up because he knows he has some longer developing routes. But this is really just to clear up Travis Kelce that's going to be walk in, trailing him, and getting to the sticks for the first down. But since it's a longer developing route, Mahomes wants McKinnon right here to be able to pick up the blitz faster so he has time to sit in the pocket and he doesn't have to worry about the rush getting in right away. So you can see Mahomes come up to the line, make this check, point out the pressure, have Jerick McKinnon know who he's going to get, step up, and again, just getting Travis Kelce in one-on-one situations, clearing him out to get your best player on a linebacker. And on these next 3 plays, just look for the yellow cleats. That's going to be Travis Kelce. And him and Mahomes just have such a good connection. Not everything is offbeat. They read coverage. They read leverage the exact same way. It's very Brady, Gronk-esque, just how much they trust each other. They're constantly working the middle of the field. And then they go offbeat and they push the field vertically. And Mahomes is able to make a throw like this. And Travis Kelce is able to make a catch like this. So they score in the red zone when they need to. They're better than anyone else at stretching the field vertically and horizontally. Patrick Mahomes is able to bail them out in any situation. Andy Reid's able to call a game that gets the most out of the attributes of the players he has, and he's also able to expose one-on-one matchups with their best players. But at the exact same time, just like at the goal line, they go off script, they go off beat, and they call a play that the Tampa Bay defense just isn't ready for. How many times have you seen them run a speed option? Probably not one other time this year. Like how they do here in an 11-point game, 3rd and 10. If they have to punt the ball right now, Tampa Bay has the opportunity to either go score with a field goal or a touchdown and make it a 1-possession game. So what do? Are they going to do anything that we've talked about so far in this video? No. Andy Reid knows how big of a play this is, so they're going to give Tampa a look that they haven't shown them all game long. They're expecting pressure up the middle. That's exactly what they get. And then they get a screen in the middle of the field for a huge gain. And when you have so much success running the ball, getting over 5 yards a carry, typically this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a safety in the box, but safeties aren't as disciplined in the run game as linebackers are. So what's Andy Reid going to do? He's going to put Sky Moore on a glance route, and he's going to let Mahomes read it. He can hand this off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he wants to. But if this safety takes as so much as a step in to defend the run, when they hadn't run an RPO any time up until this point, they pull it out when they see a safety in the box, and again, another chunk play. And that is how the Kansas City Chiefs absolutely dismantled, embarrassed, dominated, and bullied the best defense in all of football. And there isn't just one answer to this, like I said, but what they did here is the blueprint and how to call a perfect game. Mahomes didn't have to throw the ball 50 times. He only had 228 yards passing, but he still had a 90.7 QBR on 6.7 yards per completion because he was highly effective. He took everything the defense gave him, and the combination between Patrick Mahomes, the talent he has around him, and Andy Reid calling the plays, them converting on 3rd down conversions and almost every single time they get in goal-to-go situations is the reason you can hang 41 points on a Tampa Bay defense, and Tom Brady goes out there and puts up 31 points. 99% of the time, the Bucs are going to go out and win that game. But this is the formula to what I think the Chiefs played their best game all season and probably in the last 2 years. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, go ahead and make sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought about this game and how you think the Chiefs are going to go moving forward. And as always, make sure to subscribe if you enjoy daily sports content. I appreciate y'all so much for checking out the channel. That's all I have for you today, but as always, I will see you all tomorrow. Peace!